Hi, folks. I'm Tam, and we're back with another. When people say, go with the flow, go with the flow, or I guess ride the current, the tide, be in the moment. Be in the moment, go with the flow. It's along along the same line of thinking that you kind of just have to kind of just wing it. It's the same line of thinking. And usually, when you want to do this, is because because the situation may be way too much, not to like make you, I guess, put you down or anything, but there's just so much going on. Perhaps you're a CEO of a company and you're overwhelmed because you have to deliver a report to your investors, your startup investor, your venture capitalists. You have employees who are sick this week, and you need to like fill in that position. So there's just so many variables going on that it's hard to like I guess calculate and process in real time. So you kind of just go with the flow because it's just so much. It's just too much for any person to kind of like take in, digest at the moment. So you're like, okay, so kind of screw it, just kind of wing with it, roll with the punches, go with the flow, etc., and so on. And for that moment, like when you kind of deep in it, like you're really kind of deep in this, where like there's so many things going on. Perhaps, for example, like war, when you're like a soldier in the front line, and you're just like, holy shoot, what the heck is going on? Like people getting blown up, like there's like bombs being dropped, and you're just simply trying to like coexist with the situation in the moment. Then yeah, then yeah, going with the flow is definitely going to help you ride the tide because that's a very hard tide to ride. Doesn't mean that you should be in that situation 24/7 because that's also not healthy. Being deep into that is not healthy because you may lose yourself. You may lose yourself, and then you ride a tide that takes you to the ocean, and instead of like back home, and then you kind of screw. And generally when people try to go with the flow, like and they're not inside and they're not inside some and they're not inside some kind of deep situation like that, they're not in like deep shit, so to speak. It's because they can't they don't want to be responsible or be held accountable for their moves, whatever move they make. For example, if you're dancing, if you go out with your friends to a nightclub, and you see like a nice girl, or a nice, I guess, boy, and you try to dance them on the dance floor, and then you feel like you should kind of do something more, but at the same time you also kind of hesitate because you don't want to guys lose face or get rejected or whatever. So you kind of hesitate as well. So you kind of like, I guess, go with the flow, give up your responsibility, you're kind of like your kind of duty to this thing called going with the flow, and then you kind of do it. So you don't feel has I guess guilty or responsible for it happening afterwards because it is still your choice. It's just like you kind of gave permission. Going with the flow gave you permission to be that way. So you kind of like feel less accounted for. Even though if something does go wrong, you still are going to be held responsible for it, no doubt, because consequences should apply and really have to apply to everybody. You kind of give you give permission to yourself by going with that kind of flow. So that's how usually people who apply this, who uses his way of thinking, apply it outside of like being outside of being in deep shit, being in like war or something like where like there's just so many things going on that you can't help but just go with the flow because otherwise you get killed or you lose, and it's simply game over. So in those like deep shit moments, and yes, you go with the flow. Otherwise, you should definitely step back and kind of like take your time to understand the situation, so that you can actually be held more accountable for yourself, and propel yourself that way. For that example, like perhaps you have to for example, where you're kind of dancing with the boy or girl, perhaps you should like try something like more gentle, like put your hands on or hips and so on. So you kind of like seeing like is it something that you want, and so on. So you're building your proficiency to understand your current situation, so that the next time you can actually um, choose whatever option is kind of like the best for you, and not simply just kind of go with the flow, trying to not be held responsible for whatever happened afterwards, or trying to convince yourself that this is okay to kind of proceed with, because sometimes it's not okay. So um, the quality of any interaction, or what you kind of get out of at the end of the day is based on your level of comprehension and understanding of the situation. I mean, like for example, in that scenario, if you go with the flow, and you kind of like, I guess, just try to, like, I guess, kiss a girl, or do something, I guess, more kind of romantic with her, and then the next thing you know, like, she was just kind of like flirting with you, and then like her boyfriend comes in, who's like a biker gang, who's like a bike gang leader, comes in and kind of like punches you in the face. Going with the flow in that scenario, obviously, would not be a good choice, So usually when people apply this mindset, it's just because they don't want to be responsible for their choices. So it's easier to kind of go with the flow to not be held accountable for your choices, because you see a benefit at the end of the road, yet you can't really comprehend why a certain situation is this way. So you, like, just go with the flow. So you don't want to be held accountable for, or responsible for the outcome, the outflow of a certain situation.